Can you imagine being in a hotel where there are no showers and no toilets? Hello everyone, welcome back. I know that today I promised to give you a wider context, but I think I'll leave it till the end, so make sure that you stay till the end. Today I'm going to read you the next entry, which was written in Ali Hotel in Ali on 10 August 1997. This is a very long entry, but it's also a very interesting one. So left Yecheng on the evening of the 4th with a Tibetan driver. So finally we found a Tibetan driver who was willing to take us.
I want to talk about this photo because it's very special to me. It's not very beautiful and it's not very clear, but it holds a lot of memories for me. I think I might be reading a little bit about this in my next few videos, but I am going to give you a very quick summary of what happened. I lost my food in a flood and I had no food for the rest of the journey. And these two Tibetan drivers, they were very kind. They shared their food with me and they didn't have much food. They had what is called sampa, which is basically just flour, and they would put water into the flour and knead it into a dough, and they would just eat that dough. That was their lunch or their dinner. That was what they ate while they're on the road. They would share that with me. It was very nice in the sense that they were very kind, and I got to share a little bit of their culture, but the dough itself was not very tasty, as you can imagine, and there was a lot of yak hair in there. So as I was eating, I was pulling out the hair as well. But I will tell you more about this in the relevant video. Let's carry on.
We sat at the back of the truck on top of some rice sacks, which made rather good beds. However, the journey was very dusty and we were covered in sand in no time. We did not go far the first day. We slept on the truck during the night. It was freezing cold. Good thing I had bought an army jacket for this trip. On the second day, we were moving very slowly too, because the two trucks were traveling together and the other one kept breaking down. I think they had to look after each other because they were in the middle of nowhere, and if one broke down and was on their own, they could be in very serious trouble. It had to stop every hour to cool the engine down with water from the stream. The scenery was stunning though, so it wasn't so bad. The third day was faster because the other truck had recovered. The fourth day was the worst. We had to drive over a pass of 6,700 meters elevation called the Dead Man's Pass. This is another place that I couldn't find on the map. I will look through Warwick's letters and see if he has anything that verifies the existence of this place.
So I want to include this here because I mentioned that I would look for evidence of the Dead Man's Pass in Warwick's letters. I'm going to read a bit of his letter to you. He wrote a lot of letters to me. Here are just some of them. I will try to read parts of his letters to you in the next few videos, but his handwriting is a little bit difficult to read, so I may not read too much. So here he said, we drove over the hills onto the dirt roads. Yeah, that's what I remember. Through a lovely sunrise and spent most of the morning trying to get past a green army truck that wouldn't move over. By midday, we were heading over the Dead Man's Pass. The Chinese in the back with a cigarette in one hand and a container of oxygen in the other. So I guess this is the bag of oxygen. So let's continue with the story.
Okay, so we had to drive over a pass of 6,700 meters elevation called the Dead Man's Pass. The driver warned us not to fall asleep because if we did, we would never wake up again. There were tombstones along the way. The driver pointed them out to us. You see those? He said, looking at me square in the eyes. They fell asleep. It was hard not to fall asleep. I felt like I was having a very bad hangover. My head felt like it was going to explode. Bin, the Korean guy, vomited. A Chinese lady from the other truck gave me a bottle of pu tao tang. I think pu tao tang in Chinese means grape sugar. I don't know how it was supposed to help, but it didn't help much anyway. Bin and I tried our best to keep each other awake, and the driver kept stopping the truck to check that we hadn't fallen asleep. By night, we had crossed the pass and were at a place with a lower altitude, and we felt much better. The last day was very relaxing as the tires of both trucks kept going flat, so we had many rest stops. Nevertheless, we felt rather stressed as our destination was getting nearer and the police were appearing more often. Had to hide under gunny sacks at the checkpoints and pretend to be rice. I still remember the checkpoints. He would stop us just before the checkpoints and tell us to hide in one of the rice sacks. And then as he is passing through the checkpoints, I could hear his conversation with the police or soldiers, I'm not sure. And I was scared. Arrived in Ali at 10:30 p.m. and checked in here. So here means Ali Hotel. We were visited by a friendly PSB officer who issued us a fine of 300 yuan each. PSB officer, I think PSB stands for police something, I cannot remember exactly. And it's funny that we were only issued a fine. We were there illegally, but we were not arrested. We were issued a fine, and listen to this part. The fine should have been 500 yuan, but I told him I was a student. So I got a discount for being a student after committing a crime. Ali is quite small and characterless apart from the many nightclubs, but the people are nice. There are neither toilets nor showers in this hotel. Can you believe that? This is a story I keep telling people because it's so amusing. Can you imagine being in a hotel where there are no showers and no toilets? The toilets are in the police station across the street. So you have to go down, cross the road, go to the police station and ask to use their toilets. And if you need to go in the middle of the night, you couldn't. And the public showers are a few blocks away. When I say toilet, I mean a hole in the ground. There is usually some sand and a shovel beside the hole so that you can flush or cover up after you finish your business. So you would squat over that hole and do whatever you needed to do, and then shovel some sand and then throw it into the hole to cover up. The showers are open only twice a week, and we had just missed it. I don't remember the day I arrived. It was probably something like I arrived on Saturday and the showers are only open on Fridays and Tuesdays or something like that. So I had to wait a few more days to have a shower. And as you can imagine, I was desperate for a wash. As it says here, I was desperate to wash. I was covered in orange dust. My green and purple backpack had turned orange. Yeah, I couldn't recognize my backpack. I couldn't recognize myself either. I got a flask of hot water from the kitchen and an enamel basin. So that's the famous Chinese basin. I will put a photo up here for you to see. So I stood in the basin and washed myself as well as I could. Not very well. With the flask of water starting from the hair downwards. Then with the orange water in the basin, the water was so precious I didn't throw it away. With the orange water in the basin, I washed my clothes. My clothes were also covered in orange dust, so I desperately needed to rinse them out. It felt so good to be semi-clean again. I don't know how clean semi-clean is now, but I don't think it was very clean. I don't think I could do that again. Anyway, found a truck that will leave for Mount Kailash tomorrow. So Mount Kailash is the famous Tibetan mountain, the holy mountain.
Here I would like to include some information about Mount Kailash. So Mount Kailash is a sacred mountain located in the Tibet Autonomous Region of China. It stands at around 6,638 meters and it's part of the Trans-Himalaya range. While it is not the highest peak in the region, it holds immense religious and cultural significance for several religions, including Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Bon, making it one of the holiest sites in the world. In Hinduism, Mount Kailash is believed to be the abode of Lord Shiva, one of the principal deities. Devotees believe Shiva meditates at the peak, and the mountain symbolizes spiritual power. In Buddhism, it is considered the home of Demchok, a representation of supreme bliss. In Jainism, the mountain is associated with the first Tirthankara, Rishabhadeva, who is said to have attained liberation there. In the Bon religion, which predates Buddhism in Tibet, Mount Kailash is regarded as the center of the world and the seat of spiritual power. Mount Kailash has never been climbed due to its sacred status, and instead pilgrims from different faiths perform a ritual circumambulation, that is to walk around the mountain. I tried that too, but didn't quite make it, which is believed to bring spiritual blessings. The entire circuit, called the Kora, is about 52 kilometers long and usually takes several days to complete. I think Mount Kailash is also the source of several rivers. Anyway, let's continue.
We'll spend a night there, half a day at Lake Manarasova. I will put some photos here of Lake Manarasova. I haven't got any good ones. I will show you mine first, and then I will show you Warwick's. Warwick took some really good photos. Everybody seems to take better photos than I did. I promised to tell you more about Warwick in a later video. This is not the video yet, but I will tell you a little bit about him. So we met in India and traveled around together for a bit. And then when I went to the UK, he decided to join me. Anyway, I will tell you more about him later on when my entry is about India, so do stay tuned. So we'll spend a night there, have a night at Lake Manarasova, and then head to Saga on the same truck. From Saga, we will have to hitch another ride. Would like to spend more time at Mount Kailash, but I'm running out of money and there are no banks here to cash travelers' checks. I don't think people use travelers' checks today anymore, but in those days, that's what travelers did. So I had a money belt, an internal money belt, which I wore on my waist the whole time. And if you remember that photo that I took with York, you can see that you can see a very strange shape on my belly, as if I am very fat, but that was actually my money belt. I will show the photo here again. So I would have my traveler's checks and some cash and my passport as well in my money belt. I have to get to Shigatsu before I run out of cash. So that's the end of the entry. I will stop here and insert whatever photos or documents or information I have about these places or these experiences. I promise to give you a wider context of why I was doing this trip and what was happening in my life. So basically, I had graduated from the University of York 2 years ago in 1995, and I came back to Malaysia for just over a year. I worked as an economics teacher in Taylor's College for a year. I wasn't paid very much, but I saved every cent I earned in order to do this trip. Like I said, I only had 2,500 USD for the entire year, and I ran out when I was in India. I actually wanted to travel all the way overland to the UK, So through Pakistan and Turkey, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, and then take a ferry to London. But that didn't happen because I ran out of money. So I was going back to the UK because I had applied for a working holiday visa, which would allow me to work for 2 years in the UK. I was very unhappy at home. That 1 year back home just reminded me of my childhood all over again, and so I really wanted to get away. I won't bore you with details about my childhood, but you will get glimpses of it here and there probably. I will continue with the next entry next week, so do remember to join me again here. And thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.